name is Rafael Kevin Ainagal. You can call me Sir Kev. These series of video-based modules will be based on the topics under Practical Research 2 for senior high school. Your comments below for improvement. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We will have two lessons in today's episode. First lesson is about the characteristics, strengths, weaknesses, and kinds of quantitative research. And lesson 2 is all about the importance of quantitative research across fields. So, what is your prior knowledge about research? Think about our discussion on practical research 1. Great. So, well, research is simply defined as this one. It is a systematic inquiry that uses disciplined methods to answer questions or solve problems. The ultimate goal of research is to develop, refine, and expand the body of knowledge on a specific field. Now, let's dissect each of them. First, scientific study or investigation. Research, for it to be called as a research, it should follow a scientific method, meaning that all the processes involved in our study was deeply analyzed and it has been studied carefully so that your methods will be scientific. Second, systematic process for discovery. So, kapag itawag natin yung mga systematic, it means that roatan nga research should follow a flow. It's not linear, but rather it's cyclical and multiple-faceted. Meaning, nga roaton nga research, nag-start kita anay sa problem identification, then your hypothesis formulation and question formulation, followed by your methods, your data analysis, and then your conclusions. Now, as I mentioned, it's a systematic process because we follow those methods. It is also a problem solving method, meaning that your research, your study, should solve a certain problem. And finally, based on your data gathered from your research, prediction and explanation can be lifted in the form of your conclusions. And this can be used in further studies as well. Now, in this lesson, you will be able to discuss the basics of quantitative research and apply the quantitative method in your research outputs. Now, what is quantitative research? Well, according to Kunderson and Aliaga, research or quantitative research is explaining phenomena by collecting numerical data that are analyzed using mathematical based methods, in particular, statistics. So take note of these two key terms. We use numbers and specifically a method called statistics. To generalize, quantitative research is a systematic investigation of observable phenomena. It is also the gathering of quantitative and again numerical data. And of course, we will be using statistical methods, may it be descriptive or inferential statistics. Now, what are the usual statistical methods that we use? To simplify, we have the following statistical methods. We have Pearson's R, t-test, ANOVA, multiple regressions. Well, actually, these are just examples. These are examples of your inferential statistics. Descriptives include your mean, your percentage, your frequency. Now, what are they useful for? Well, we will be discussing them later on, but here is the gist of what they can actually do. Alright, so in quantitative research, Um, Here are your main goals. First, to test your hypothesis, whether they are significant or not, whether they are um, good findings or bad findings, as long as the hypothetical or the statistical hypothesis are significant or not. Also, to explore causal relationships, whether there is a relationship between one variable to another. Third, to make predictions. What will happen if this variable will be changed? Will it also affect the other? Generalize from the findings within a population. This is the major reason why we do sampling. So we don't test the entire population. We just get a sample from those population using our sampling methods, which we will be discussing later on. As I mentioned, the quantitative research primarily utilizes probability sampling. So what is probability sampling? It is highly randomized. At the same time, it lowers the level of subjectivity, which is common in qualitative research. And of course, we can generalize an entire population because of a good sampling. So, what is generalizability, as we mentioned? It refers to the extent to which the findings not only represent the samples that we had, but also the population at large. Now let's discuss the differences between quantitative and qualitative research. We already discussed qualitative research in Practical Research 1, and as you can see on the right, that's qualitative. On the left, we have quantitative. Let's take a look. Now, if you could have noticed, mostly in quantitative research, it deals with numbers, statistics. On the other hand, qualitative research are very much interpretative, meaning, as you can see, most of it are subjective or part of the experiences of our respondents. And usually it's context dependent, more on text. Now let's have the several types of quantitative and qualitative. On the right hand side, you can see there the different types of qualitative research, which we have discussed on Practical Research 1. Now, take a look at them. On the left hand side, we can find the different types of quantitative research. It can either be in the form of survey, correlational, meaning of correlational is that you relate one variable to another. Like for example, kung gataas do sang ka variable, ano kaya matabo sa ana nga other variable. Comparative, it can either be perspective wherein we discuss the differences between the present and the future, or retrospective, we discuss the variables in the past and the present. As you can see, these are the other types of quantitative research. Take a look at them. All right. Now, what are the strengths and weaknesses of quantitative research? The strengths, as you can see, we can replicate and repeat the research itself in other contexts. You can use other variables. You can change the variables in the independent and dependent one. But they are not the same research, however, they are similar, which can be replicated. For example, you will be dealing with a study in a certain school. You can just replace that school and change it to another school so that you can check whether there are similarities between the findings. Second, it can establish causality more. So as you can see, we can predict the data based on the numbers, we can see whether the variable really affects the other variable. Whether face to face learning can really enhance academic performance. third one, faster using statistical software. Well, the data gathering procedure is very easy nowadays because of the existence of softwares that we use, such as the SPSS or the QI macros. And as you can see, it has a very low degree of subjectivity. As you can see, numbers, we could not manipulate numbers. Whatever is the result, that findings can be expressed through numbers as well. Now, how about the weaknesses? As you can see, we cannot adequately provide an in-depth information for describing and explaining a complex phenomenon. Let's say, for example, human experiences. Pag-ibig. Maka-quantify mo ba ang pag-ibig? Nope, we could not. We could not measure kung gaano ka kapalangga isang katawo. But we can express them through examples like um, palangga ta ikaw, umpisa tag-unga ka hasta pagbahog nimo. Just like your mom would have said. Or ang pagpalangga kimo is the same as pagpalangga it ayam sa imo sa ana nga amo. Bisan bunagon mo ako, gabalik agahakos gid lang ako kimo. So that is a phenomenon that can be discussed by qualitative research more than the quantitative ones. So the third one is that intangible factors such as gender role, socioeconomic status, and social norms could not be touched. There is less flexibility in terms of study design here. Okay, and of course, responses are limited. You will be asked to choose from the levels of 4, 3, 2, 1. Like you dislike, you disagree, or agree. Or you can answer it by yes or no. The data sometimes are not accurate if and only if you change the answers itself, which is also true with qualitative research. So, as much as possible, we need to have integrity in assessing and gathering the data. Now, in other fields, across the fields, quantitative research is very important. In arts, as you can see, we can have a good example. What are the methods that enhance one's creativity? In social inquiry, behavior and social interactions among individuals can easily be measured. Whether kung gutom baga sang katawo hay madali baga imaw mabusog kumpara sa tawo nga nakakaon gon ag makaon nga manit uman. So we can discuss all of those. There's a lot of possibilities. Now take a look at this page and discuss within your groups on how quantitative research can be important to your field of specialization. Congratulations on finishing the first module in practical research 2. Once again, this is Sir Kevin saying that the key to success